Hey everyone, it's G here, Gayon here in Cali. Woohoo! Welcome to my daily health tip, guys. Welcome. Today is Tuesday, February 20th, 2018. Woohoo! All right, so today I'm sharing a newsletter, healthy newsletter I'm a part of. From what is this company called? It's the This is a very interesting article. It's from the Authority Nutrition. I'm on a newsletter. I get tips daily from them. Yeah, Authority Nutrition. So today's article, guys, buckle your seatbelts. Let's get ready here. This is a very interesting article. So they're sharing top 11 biggest lies of the junk food industry. And as you guys know, I've been doing these talking more now regularly about food, educating us about our foods, the foods we're eating, what it's doing to us, so we can make better decisions, so we can start to eat better and really pay attention to what these foods are doing to our bodies, so we can start to do better. So Mary, hey Mary, welcome Mary. So I got Mary's on, my brother is on. So okay, so let's talk about again, this isn't me saying this, guys. I'm sharing an article that just came across my email. Okay, so here's the thing. Okay, this article is pretty raw. So just so you know, there is it's a lot of facts here. So we need to be aware of what's in our foods. Okay. Hey Mary, welcome. All right, so there is no, so here, so this is the article, guys. Again, it's not me saying, this is the article, not me. There is no decency in the way junk food companies do their marketing. All they care about is profit, and they seem willing to sacrifice even children's health for their own monetary gain. Here are the top 11 biggest lies of the junk food industry. And this is important. Why? Because our kids are eating this stuff, right? And after this article here, this is probably the reason why we have a lot of our kids, unfortunately, kids are having health problems that we didn't have when we were growing up. We didn't have, diabetes, obesity, a lot of these things that kids are dealing with today. It wasn't that back in the days, in the 80s, when I grew up, 80s, you didn't have many of these health issues. Our kids have having health issues that we didn't have in growing up. And they're getting them early, in their lives now. So this is probably the reason why. So number one, low fat or fat free, right? We see those labels, right, in our foods out there. So what does that mean? Okay, one of the side effects of the war on fat was a plethora of processed foods with reduced amounts of fat, right? These products typically have labels saying low fat, reduced fat, or fat free. The problem is that most of these products are not healthy at all. Okay, foods that have had the fat removed from them typically do not taste as good as the full fat versions. Few people want to eat them, right? For this reason, food producers load these products with added sugars and other additives. It is now known that fat has been unfairly demonized, while growing evidence has been revealing the dangers of added sugar. What this means is that low-fat foods are usually more worse than their regular counterparts. Okay, so if a product has the words low-fat or anything similar on the label, it probably contains added sweeteners. Keep in mind that these processed foods are not necessarily a healthy choice. So what does that mean to me? When I read that, that tells me, well, might as well just eat the regular version, because there's still added stuff in there. There's added sweeteners, right? Yes, they've taken the sugar out, whatever, but they're adding sweeteners in there. So as this stated, might as well you just eat the regular version. Okay, so that's what that means to me. So again, we need to be aware of what the foods out there, what we're doing to ourselves. Okay, number 2 is trans fat free. Processed foods often have trans fat free on the labels. This doesn't necessarily have to be the truth, right? As long as a product contains fewer than 0.5 grams of trans fat per serving, they are allowed to put it on the label. Okay, make sure to check the ingredients list. If the word hydrogenated appears anywhere on the label, then it contains trans fat. It contains trans fat. It's actually not uncommon to find hydrogenated fats in products that are labeled trans fat free. So even though it says trans fat free, if I'm out there looking at a food label and I see trans fat free, In my mind, that tells me there's no fat, there's no trans fat. That's how I interpret it. That tells me that there's zero. That's how me as a consumer, when I read a label like that. But again, it's the underlying thing. So they are allowed to add 0.5 grams of trans fat. And so by that, with that being said, they're able to put trans fat free on the label, even though there's 0.5 grams of trans fat, there's still trans fat in that product, even though it says trans fat free. This is the stuff that drives us crazy. So anyways, so avoid everything that contains the word hydrogenated. Food products labeled trans fat free may actually contain up to 0.5 grams of trans fat per serving. So what do you got to do, guys? We got to check the label. Does it have, if it says hydrogenated on that label, there is some trans fat in that product, even though it may say trans fat free. So this is how we get tricked, right? The way how they're able to still label these foods, us thinking that it's free and it's not. Okay, includes whole grains. Over the past few decades, consumers have been led to believe that whole grains are among the healthiest food they can eat. That's me. That's what I've been told, right? I agree 100% that whole grains are better than refined grains, although there is no evidence that eating whole grains is healthier than no grains at all. Okay, so thanks for the emoji, brother. That said, processed foods like like cereals often claim to include whole grains. The problem is that whole grains aren't always whole. The grains have been pulverized into very fine flour. Okay, that may contain all ingredients from the grains, but the resistance to quick digestion is lost, and those grains might spike your blood sugar just as fast as their refined counterparts. I've been reading about the breads. Even though it says whole grains, it says whole wheat. What does the breads do to us? That the breads they're out there, we're buying our breads. It spikes our blood sugar. So if you're diabetic, we don't want that. You don't want anything spiking your blood sugar, right? So you have to be careful, guys, of breads. It's scary, but the truth be told, we have to be aware. Okay. So plus, even if a product has small amounts of whole grains in it, chances are that it contains a ton of other very harmful ingredients like sugar and high fructose corn syrup. Most processed food products contain whole grains aren't really whole. They've been pulverized into very fine flour and spike blood sugar levels just as fast as their refined counterparts. So again, whole grains, the label says whole grains in it, right? Doesn't necessarily mean that. So turn your products around, look at the labels, and look at the ingredients, guys. And ultimately, what it comes down to is if you can't pronounce if you cannot pronounce the ingredients, it shouldn't be going in our bodies. That's the bottom line. If we can't pronounce it, we shouldn't be putting it in our bodies. Unfortunately, that's the reality of it. Okay, gluten-free. Eating a gluten-free diet is very trendy these days, right? Around 1.5% of Americans were currently eating gluten-free or actively trying to restrict gluten. 1/3 of those haven't been diagnosed with celiac disease. So a lot of people are looking at gluten-free, even though they don't have celiac disease. They're still, looking at, eating healthier, right? Just so we're clear, one fully support a gluten-free diet. There is no evidence that in addition to full-blown celiac disease, full-blown celiac disease, a portion of people may be sensitive to gluten or wheat. So people who have the celiac disease are allergic to the gluten or the wheat, and this is why they have to go to gluten-free, right? However, processed foods labeled as gluten-free are and made to replace gluten-containing foods are generally not healthy. They are also much more expensive. Those foods are usually made from highly refined, high glycemic starches like cornstarch, potato starch, and tapioca starch, and may also be loaded with sugar. Eating gluten-free should be about ditching the refined cereals and replacing them with real whole foods. So how do we get around that? We have to cook our own foods. even though the package says gluten-free, it says low fat, it's fat-free, it's trans fat-free. At the end of the day, what's the takeaway here? We need to cook our own foods so we know what's going in our foods. And we just have, that's just the, that's the reality of it, guys. We have to start cooking our own food so we know what's going on, what's going into our foods, what ingredients are putting that we ourselves are putting in our foods, because there's too many things out there where we're being misled. Okay, number 5, hidden sugar. Unfortunately, most people don't read an ingredients list before making a purchase, which is true, right? But even for those who do, food manufacturers still have ways of disguising the true contents of our products. So there's a disguise, right? On ingredients list, their components are listed in descending order by amount. If you see sugar in the first few spots, then you know that the product is loaded with sugar. However, food manufacturers often put different types of sugar in their products. A food may contain sugar, high fructose corn syrup, and evaporated cane juice, which are all different names for the exact same thing, sugar. This way, they can have some other healthier sounding ingredients as number 1 on the list. Nevertheless, if you were to add up the amounts of these 3 different types of sugar would be at the top. This is a clever way to mask the true amount of refined sugars in processed foods. Here's an article. So anyways, they list an article you can go to that talks more about the common names of sugar. I did that video, I think, earlier this week. The different form of sugar, glucose, all the different macros, dextrose, anything with OSC at the end, that's sugar. Okay, so make sure to check whether a product contains more than one type of sugar. And if that's the case, sugar may really be among the top ingredients. So we have to start cooking our own foods. We just have to. Okay, calories per serving. The real calorie and sugar content of products is often hidden by saying that the product is more than 1 serving. For example, a manufacturer can decide that a chocolate bar or soda bottle is 2 servings, even though most people don't stop until they have finished the whole thing. Which is true, right? If you go buy your soda, aren't you gonna drink all of the soda, right? Most of us will. If you go buy a can of soda, you're probably going to drink it all. Okay, when food producers can use this to their advantage by saying their products contain only a certain amount of calories per servings, okay? When reading labels, check the number of servings the product contains. If it contains 2 servings and they are 200 calories per serving, then the entire thing is 400 calories. So if you drink the whole bottle, the whole can of soda, that tells you right there, right? So look at how much servings. It's true, and that's something that I do overlook when you buying your products. How many servings, how many calories per servings does it say, and how much if you eat the whole box, then how much calories are you actually really consuming? Okay. All right. So for example, a 24-ounce 0.7 liter bottle of Coca-Cola may contain 100 calories and 27 grams of sugar per serving. If the entire bottle contains 3 servings, the total amount is 300 calories and 81 grams of sugar. So we have to use our math to calculate how much is in that total package. If you drink out the whole bottle, the whole can of Coca-Cola, how many servings of sugar calories are you actually consuming? Look at what the bottle says. If it says this bottle this can of soda is total 3 servings, then you got to take those numbers and multiply times 3. That's how much you're actually consuming. Okay? So make sure you check the number of servings in the label, multiply the total sugar and calorie content by number of servings to find the true total amount. A lot of us moms we're not doing that, right? We give our kids the thing of soda. We're not realizing exactly how much sugars are they drinking if they drink the whole can of soda. Okay, fruit flavored. Many processed foods have a flavor that sounds natural. For example, orange flavored vitamin water tastes like oranges. However, there are no actual oranges in there. The sweet taste is coming from sugar and the orange flavor is coming from artificial chemicals.